If you're exhausted by one more person telling you everything will be fine when your life is falling apart, this message is for you, not for people whose faith feels easy. For you, the one who's tired of pretending positive thoughts will fix actual problems. The one who hears, "Just trust God," and feels more alone, not less. What you're feeling isn't lack of faith, it's honesty. And God sees you right now, not the version trying to believe hard enough, but the exhausted you who can't anymore. 3,000 years ago, a man sat in ashes while his friends told him everything would be fine if he just had more faith. Job's story is about to show you why God's presence in your darkness matters more than promises that it will end. But first, meet Lisa. Because her Tuesday morning might be your Tuesday morning too. Before we go further, if you're tired of toxic positivity disguised as faith, type the word exhausted in the comments. Just that word. For every other person scrolling who needs permission to stop pretending. This is a safe space for honesty. God is present here too. Lisa is 42, sitting in her car outside church, unable to go inside. Last week during prayer, someone said, "God's got this, Lisa. Everything will be fine." Said it with such confidence. Lisa smiled, said, "Thank you." Wanted to scream, because nothing is fine. Divorced 3 months ago. Lost her job 2 weeks later. Mom's dementia progressing faster than expected. Yesterday, Mom asked who she was. Twice. Nothing. Is fine. And she's tired of people telling her it will be. Tired of God has a plan. Tired of this is just a season. Tired of Romans 8:28 quoted like a magic spell that will make bankruptcy and loneliness and her mother's disappearing mind work together for good. She believes in God. But everyone at church acts like believing means everything will turn out okay. When it doesn't, when you're 42, divorced, unemployed, caregiving, then you're not believing hard enough. So you try harder, pray more, claim promises, still wake at 3 a.m. thinking, what if it's not fine? What if this is just my life now? But you can't say that. Not at church, not to friends, texting, trusting God for your breakthrough with heart emojis. So you sit in parking lots, unable to perform faith you don't feel. Drowning in encouragement that makes you feel worse. Phone buzzes. Sister Rachel. Remember, God's timing is perfect. This hard season is preparing you for something amazing. Throat tight, eyes burning. She doesn't need future amazing. She needs someone to acknowledge right now nothing is fine. Maybe won't be tomorrow either. She needs permission to sit in ashes without someone trying to pull her out. Types. Thanks, love you. Deletes, I can't do this anymore. Sends sanitized version. Drives home. Skips service. Again, easier to be alone with God than surrounded by people who won't let you be honest. That night, thinking about a verse someone quoted, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." 90 mornings later, still no joy, just more weeping and guilt for not being joyful yet. What nobody tells you, sometimes night lasts longer than one night. Sometimes you're in year 3 of just a season. Sometimes encouragement makes you feel like you're failing at faith. Lisa is soul tired. Tired of trying to believe it will be fine when every day demonstrates it's not. If you're Lisa, if you're exhausted by toxic positivity wrapped in Bible verses, God sees you. Not the performed faith version. The real you. The exhausted you who can't muster belief that it'll be fine. and God hasn't left you. Here's what makes this isolating: the church created it. We meant well, but we turned faith into toxic positivity. Made trust God mean believe it will turn out okay, instead of God is with you even when it doesn't. We quoted Romans 8:28 until people couldn't admit when things weren't working for good. Sang it is well until people felt guilty for not being well. Preached joy in all circumstances until struggling meant spiritual failure. When you can't believe hard enough to feel better, you add shame to suffering, isolation to exhaustion. If everyone else can trust God and be fine, but you can't, something must be wrong with you. But what if nothing's wrong? What if you're just honest? What if the problem isn't your faith, but the version sold to you? The one that says God's presence requires believing in good outcomes. God never promised outcomes. God promised presence. Emmanuel, God with us, not God fixing us. God entering suffering and sitting in ashes with us. This is ancient truth, church, forgot. 3,000 years ago, God gave us a story for exhausted people tired of encouragement that makes them feel worse. You know Job's story. Righteous man, lost everything, sat in ashes scraping boils. 3 friends showed up: Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar. For 7 days they did it right, sat in silence, just presence. Then they started talking. Everything went wrong. Eliphaz: Consider now who being innocent has ever perished. Those who plow evil reap it. Translation: This happened because you sinned. Fix it. Then everything will be fine. Bildad: Does God pervert justice? If you will seek God earnestly, He will rouse Himself on your behalf. Translation: Pray harder. God will fix things. Everything will be fine. Zophar: If you put away the sin in your hand, then you will lift up your face without shame. Translation: Stop sinning and you'll stop suffering. Everything will be fine. 3 variations of the same toxic message. This is your fault. Fix yourself, and God will fix circumstances. Job's response, chapter 13. You smear me with lies. You are worthless physicians. If only you would be silent. For you, that would be wisdom. Worthless physicians. If only you would be silent. Job exhausted by encouragement that blamed him. His friends meant well, quoted theology, offered solutions. Did everything we do when we tell suffering people, everything will be fine. God stayed silent 37 chapters while they argued. But God's silence wasn't absence. God was present in ashes, present in Job's anger, questions, exhaustion. Then, chapter 38, God spoke. But not about why Job suffered, not about lessons learned. Just, where were you when I laid earth's foundation? Who shut up the sea? Have you given orders to morning? God showed up. Not to explain, not to promise fine. Just to be present. To remind Job, you're asking questions beyond human understanding. And I'm here. Job's response. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Not now I understand why. Not now I see it will be fine. Just I encountered your presence. And presence matters more than answers. Job's friends tried to give answers. God gave presence. They tried to fix suffering. God entered suffering. They tried to make Job believe it would be fine. God showed Job his presence was enough even when nothing was fine. Let's address what you're thinking when you can't sleep. Question 1. Is it wrong to be tired of everything will be fine? No, it's honest. God honors honesty more than performed positivity. Job was exhausted by his friends' encouragement. God didn't rebuke Job for that. God rebuked the friends. They made God transactional. Do right, get blessed. Job kept God big, present beyond comprehension, never absent. Your exhaustion with toxic positivity isn't failure. It's discernment. Faith isn't believing good outcomes. Faith is trusting God's presence when outcomes are terrible. You need permission to say, I don't know if it will be fine. I can't see how this works out. But I trust God is here in this mess, even though I can't feel Him. That's faith. Brutal, exhausted, honest faith. That's Job in ashes. God showed up for that version, not the fake believing version his friends wanted. Question 2. How do I sense God's presence when nothing feels fine? Stop waiting to feel fine before looking for God. Start looking for God in the not fine. Job encountered God in whirlwind, not in restoration, in chaos, in questions without answers. Practically, name the not fine, out loud, to God. God, I'm in my car, unable to go to church because encouragement exhausts me. This is where I am. Are you here? That honesty invites God to show up, not in answer. In presence, and presence feels like permission to be where you are. Sense that you're not alone. Breath to get through next hour. God's presence isn't magic peace. Sometimes it's just you're still breathing. You got through today. Something held you together. That something is question 3. What if I can't believe it will be fine? Then don't. God doesn't need you to believe in outcomes. God needs you to let Him sit with you. Job never said, I believe this will work out. He said, though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him. Not optimism, surrender. Even if this kills me, I trust you're here. You don't have to believe your marriage will be restored. Job will come, parent will remember you. You just have to trust God is present with you in the loss. Belief in outcomes is hope. Trust in presence is faith. When you can't muster hope, faith is enough. Question 4. How do I survive well-meaning people? Set boundaries with compassion. They mean well. They just don't know how to sit in ashes. Try, I appreciate that you want to encourage me. But right now, I don't need to hear it will be fine. I need to hear it's okay that it's not fine. Can you sit with me in not fine? Some will hear you, some won't. The ones who can't let you be not fine aren't safe for this season. Job's friends weren't safe either. Job survived them. Find one person who can sit in ashes without pulling you out. One who says, this is awful and I'm here, instead of this will pass. That person reflects God's actual presence better than 10 encouragers. Question 5. Will I ever feel fine again? Maybe. Maybe not. But you'll learn something better than fine. Job got restoration at the end, but that's not the point. The point is, now my eyes have seen you. He encountered God's presence in ashes. That encounter transformed him more than restoration did. He learned God's presence in suffering is worth more than God's removal of suffering. You might get fine. You might get different. You might get learning to carry not fine with someone who carries it with you. That third option, that's enough, not because suffering becomes good, because you're not alone in it anymore. Lisa didn't suddenly believe everything would be fine. Divorce still hurt. Job search still stressed. Mom still forgot. But over 14 months, 3 things shifted how she carried it. 1, she left that church. Not loss of faith. That community couldn't hold her honesty. She found different church where pastor said, "Some of you are hanging on by a thread. That thread is God's presence, and that's enough." She cried through entire service. First time in a year, felt seen in church. She learned leaving toxic positivity is act of faith. Job's friends had to leave before Job could encounter God. Sometimes you stop listening to encouragement that harms before hearing presence that heals. 2, she practiced Job's honesty, started praying differently, brutal prayers. God, I don't know if you're here. I can't feel you. My life is falling apart. I'm so tired. If you're here, I need you to hold me because I can't hold myself. Nothing external changed, but something internal shifted. She stopped performing faith she didn't feel, started admitting needs she had. God meets brutal prayers better than pretty ones. She texted her therapist 8 months in, "I think God's been here all along. I just couldn't see him because I was looking for him to make things fine. He's not making things fine. He's sitting in not fine with me, and somehow that's enough." 3, she let go of fine as goal. Hardest part. We're taught faith means believing for breakthrough. Lisa realized breakthrough might not come. Mom's dementia won't reverse. This might be her life now, and she had choice. Keep waiting for fine, or learn to live in not fine with someone who makes not fine bearable. She chose presence over promises, companionship over certainty, God with her in darkness over hope of light that might not come. Her breakthrough wasn't circumstances changing. Breakthrough was discovering God's presence matters more than God's solutions. 1 year later, someone asked how she was. Instead of fine, she said, "Honestly, still hard, but I'm learning God's okay with hard. And that's helping me be okay with it too." They looked uncomfortable. She didn't care. Their discomfort with her honesty wasn't her problem. Her honesty with God was the only thing keeping her alive. If you're Lisa, if you're exhausted by encouragement, that doesn't help if you can't make yourself believe it will be fine. God is not waiting for you to believe better. God is present with you right now in your doubt exhaustion, inability to muster hope. Job sat in ashes, scraping boils. God showed up anyway. Not with answers, with presence. And presence was enough for Job to keep breathing. You don't need to believe it will be fine. You need to know you're not sitting in ashes alone. And you're not. God is there. In your car, in your 3 a.m. insomnia, in your exhaustion, with people who can't hold your not fine. Do this. In comments, type 3 words, "still not fine." Not your story, just those 3 words. Because the person reading at 2 a.m. needs to know faith doesn't mean pretending. Faith means being honest with God and trusting He can handle your honesty. Save this for when someone tells you everything happens for a reason, and you need reminded that God's presence is better than God's explanations. And if you subscribe, you'll get biblical wisdom that holds your reality instead of demanding you deny it. Not sermons about trying harder. Stories about God showing up in not fine. You're not failing at faith, you're honest. Job was honest, and God called him my servant, while rebuking friends who tried to make him pretend. Honest faith beats performed faith. Brutal prayers beat pretty prayers. God's presence in not fine beats false promises that it will be fine. Job never got answers. He got encounter. And encounter transformed ashes from place of abandonment to place of presence. Your ashes are the same. God doesn't need to make them fine. God just needs to sit in them with you. And He is. Right now, whether you feel it or not. The exhaustion you feel isn't lack of faith. It's honesty God honors. The inability to believe good outcomes isn't spiritual failure. It's surrender to reality God can work with. You're tired of being told it will be fine. God understands. Because God never said it would be fine. God said, I will be with you. In ashes, in exhaustion, in loss, in not fine. And presence, just presence, changes not fine from unbearable to bearable. Not because circumstances change, because you're not carrying them alone anymore. God sees you, right now, exhausted, doubting, unable to believe it will be fine. That version of you, that's who God is present with. That's who God calls my servant, just like Job. You're still here. You're still breathing. You got through today. That's not just your strength. That's God's presence holding you together. Everything might not be fine, but God is here. And somehow, in ways you can't understand yet, His presence makes not fine survivable. You're not alone. God is present in your ashes right now.